What is up, everybody? My name is Jackie Smith, and this is Into the Necrosphere. On today's show, I am going to be talking to the inimitable Lior Cifer, my friend and the man who gave me my very first tattoo. So we're going to be talking about body art. We're going to be talking about the installation that he recently did at Gol of Golsverd and Gorgoroth's art gallery in Norway. And we're also going to be talking about black metal, funnily enough, and a whole bunch more besides. So Lior is an absolutely fascinating guy, and I am really excited to share that chat with you. So stay tuned. Also, after the chat with Lior, my usual segment, what I am cranking currently, what I'm cranking at the moment. We'll have to come up with another more catchy name for that. But anyway, it is a segment where I tell you what to listen to so that you don't have to think for yourself. And as I've suggested before, I'm not really ever going to do much by way of critical reviews on that segment. So if you're wondering what my opinion of things like the new Slipknot are, my silence should speak volumes. Just before we get to the conversation with Lior, a reminder that if you are watching this on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell, give us a like, leave a comment. And if YouTube isn't your thing, you can also find us on Spotify, Deezer, Castbox, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. I am posting new episodes every Tuesday. I have got some fucking awesome guests coming up, so keep watching. And if you want to follow the show on social media, you can do it on Instagram at Into The Necrosphere. So please do that. I appreciate all the support that I've had so far. I hope to keep the momentum going and hope to keep you guys entertained. On that note, my conversation with Lior is coming up right after this. Long time, no speak. As a matter of fact, I think we haven't actually physically spoken to each other in about, 11 years? Like 10, 11 years?
No. I've seen you afterwards.
Yeah, I think we bumped into each other. Oh, in fact, I know when we bumped into each other last. It was at the tattoo convention in 2012.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's still fucking 7 years ago, for fuck's sake.
It's a lifetime of shit has happened during that time. So I am still sporting very proudly the Lior Cifer gun, though.
I still need a good picture of that thing.
It still needs to be extended down. And actually, speaking of pictures, I wanted to show you this. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine had lunch with me, and he said they just had Secret Santa at work, and people knew he had tattoos, so they gave him a book on tattoos. Mm-hmm. This thing, and he says he was paging through it, and
you should
at
be.
One point, he sees that arm looks familiar. So
absolutely.
I don't know whether you're getting royalties for this, but you should.
No, but I have the book. Yeah, I definitely have the book.
Okay, no, awesome. So, dude, what's been going on with you? I mean, if I follow you on Instagram and Facebook, obviously, and then it looks like you pay the bills in New York, but you're hardly ever there. They're like 2 weeks out of a year.
No. I'm actually there a lot more than I care to admit at this point. Fuck's sake, what happened with me? Well, I had my studio and everything. My wife's Danish, Trina, and she moved in with me. Yeah, life's been crazy. You see, I can't even say enough. Like every time I say a number of years, I realize it's a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had my studio, eventually private studio, probably 4 or 5 years in INFERNUM, right at East Village and everything. Wife moved in with me, been with me for, I think it was about 1.5 years at that point. And I was on tour. I probably was in the UK, I think when that happened. She gets some shitty guy in immigration. One thing leads to another, and they kick her the fuck out. They realize she's married to an American. They can't kick her out for good, but they give her a 5-year ban. And that was pretty much, that's when life went for a spin. I came back. I mean, she came right back because it was either that or go to jail for a few days till we have another flight to Denmark. It's some messed up story. So I've done the responsible thing for the first time in my life. And it took me about a couple of months. I came back from tour, got basically my life in storage, and moved towards Europe. I mean, I have Benjamin Moss here at Apocalypse at Berlin. Been my best friend for a long time. He had a studio. We had a place to stay. Berlin used to be cheap back in the day. And I just pretty much moved here. And that way me and my wife see each other a few weeks out of the month. I still go back to New York at this point every month and a half for about 2-3 weeks for like work. And then I come back out here. And as we speak, we're actually relocating to Denmark for the next 2 years before I can bring her back to New York.
So the plan is Denmark for 2 years and then move back to New York?
For now, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure where we're going to go. I might keep the place in Denmark. I honestly don't know. I've been semi-couch surfing for about a good 2 to 2.5 years now in Europe, while, again, just being jet lagged most of the time, going back and forth, going wherever I need to go. Berlin got flooded with tattoo studios, so a lot of competition, not that easy, and suddenly they start fluctuating the market and raising all the rents and stuff. So this is not the best time to move to Berlin. And again, one thing leads to another. At this point, after about 2.5 years, I keep rolling as hard as I fucking can, as I always do, because that's really what keeps my sanity in one level or another. So we keep doing, guest spot touring, the whole 9 yards of it, art when I don't tattoo. But yeah, at this point, we're kind of trying to balance off this chaos for a little bit and trying to actually finally get a place together and make it all work out for at least the next couple of years before trying to get back full-time to New York. New York is home one way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been my life, which is honestly, it's not that far off than when you know me back in the day. The only difference is I used to have my own place and studio in New York. And now my stuff is in storage, and I never knew I'll miss my skulls and my little dead things that much, but I do.
So you've kind of put a pause on INFERNUM for the time being.
Technically, yeah. I think just like Last Rites used to be, there's like a few studios are for one level or another. I would hope INFERNUM will become kind of like more than the physical part of where it started. That no matter where I take it, most of my clients are pretty much, we have a whole good thing going on. From the atmosphere, the whole 9 yards, people I can, talk to. There is no standoffish thing with the whole thing there. So everybody so far that's been to INFERNUM is like, when you coming back? When you doing this again? Because it was private, it was dark, and it was everything, I guess, that I could make as an experience. So yeah, eventually I would like to reopen it and do whatever with it. I don't think at this point I'll ever become like a business with employees and stuff.
Yeah.
Because for some reason that really doesn't compute. So yeah, that's been that. It's been one hell of a fucking ride.
Well, so, this is one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I know when I was being tattooed, we spoke about it, and I've always been incredibly fascinated by your story. I mean, you grew up in Israel, and then you went to New York when you were 17, 18 years old?
21.
21.
Luckily, yeah.
So how did all of that come about? Because I mean, you moved over.
In a nutshell, I'm gonna spare you all the blah blah blah. In a nutshell, according to my mom, since I'm about 10 years old, I've been bitching about living in Israel.
Yeah,
that's pre-metalhead, pre-tattoos, this rest of the bullshit I picked up on the way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I want to get the fuck out of there very very quick. Start tattooing at 18. Start apprenticing at 16, start tattooing at 18. So leaving at 21 was pretty much one thing led to another. And again, same situation I'm at now. I'd like to take the pride in telling you, look, this was 100% I was going to do this and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that was the goal. That was a lot of things. But one thing or another basically rambled the boat and made the situation be that it was kind of like, all right, Same shit. It was like one kick. Everything I owned in Israel went into 2 boxes because they knew I'm going to leave. And I basically moved to the States with a goddamn duffel bag and went to Miami to see my friend Ami. He hooked me up for a while. Been out there for 2 years. Then as soon as Paul Booth was asking for even people working for him, I was already getting tattooed by him. It's been a long time dream. So I moved to New York, get closer. And about a year later, I ended up working with him for ended up being about 7 years. Got second apprenticeship, like first apprenticeship he ever really gave somebody. So that was a whole surreal thing by itself. And that took its own turn. That about 7 years into it, again, one thing led to another and ended up in one day. It's very abruptly. Yeah, well, it's been
one day turned into a couple of cardboard boxes again, and you moving.
It turned into a couple more. I'll tell you that. As soon as I moved to the States, I knew I'm home.
Yeah.
I started collecting shit because,
yeah.
First of all, I'm an artist. Second, I'm only a human being, and shit like fucking Pinhead or whatever the fuck signed by whoever the fuck. Sometimes cool. And I've collected a lot more than 2 boxes at that point. But it was pretty much, again, it's one thing to another. But like at that point, I was already like 8 years in New York. So there wasn't really any kind of like thinking of moving anywhere at this point. I think pretty much about a year later, me and a couple of colleagues opened Tribulation at the time. We had that about 4 years, I think. And then I had to leave because things were getting a little too calm to my taste. So.
Too calm or?
Too calm. I mean, it's the same thing with people with tattoos or without tattoos. People with tattoos don't give a fuck, and people without tattoos might do.
Yeah.
The same shit with metalheads. And I'm like, dude, it's not everybody's thing. So if it's time for those guys to grow the fuck up and be whoever the fuck they want to be, I can respect that. I don't think respect was mutual, but I basically, I moved my inverted crosses and my black metal to a little more secure spot and made it even more all out. And it was all good.
You said one day, if this is the way you guys want to be, I'll just pack up my black metal and leave.
Pretty much, I'm like, I gotta admit to what it is. I'd love to tell you that, I notice it as much. But I'm not. I'm a fucking pothead. I do a shit. I'm like, it took my clients yet again to go like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, really? Is that bad? And they're like, you serious? Like you went from red walls to like light gray walls. You took a zombie like inverted crucifix with a zombie, with like crown of thorns from the front window right in front of a church and took that out and made the thing nice with like artsy or whatever the fuck. And again, all the power to it for whoever's into it, but my house didn't look any different. So it was time to go full on and just do my shit. So it was a mutual decision on everybody's end, all as well. But I was the one to like take my shit, and I'm like, no, I'm out.
Yeah. And are you're still on good terms with those guys?
I'm on good terms, weirdly enough, with most of the tattoo industry worldwide, other than number of people I can probably count with my fingers. So I'm good friends with those guys. We had our ups and downs, and again, one of the people that I really didn't get along with ended up being one of my best friends, and one of the people stuck around longer than most of them. So life sure is full of very, very weird experiences.
Yeah. I want to sidetrack on one experience very quickly, and this will be a very quick kind of detour, and then we'll get back to more serious conversation. When I was getting my extension done by Dan, there was a guy who sat next to me who you were doing an octopus on his leg. And I remember you warning him, saying, if this is your first tattoo, this is going to hurt. You might want to drink some pain medication. I think I even had headache tablets in my bag. And I said, dude, you're more than welcome to have a couple. And he's like, no, I'll easily sit through this. And I think it took I said to him, you realize the guy's nickname is the Hebrew Hammer for a reason. And then about 2 minutes in, I think you did like 2 lines. I can't take it anymore. And he left. Did he ever show up again? Or was it kind of like...
The reason I'm laughing is that you're talking about someone so specific. And...
and you've sent so many people running into...
Look, I'm not gonna lie. The way I feel about getting tattooed, I'm not the biggest fucking hero. I'll take any shortcut, any fucking painkiller, whatever, if you want to knock me out. I don't enjoy the process either. I sit through it. And I'm a firm believer of a lot of tattoo artists you see covered with tattoos. They're like, they hurt you. You should shut the fuck up because they know what it feels like. And if they can sit through it, fair enough. With that being said, the customer you're talking about is specifically sensitive. We tattooed him, I would like to say, in the process of at least a year, if not maybe 2, few times. All of us were as shocked of him even coming back. That's how much in pain it was. Sometimes he did better, sometimes he didn't. Eventually it disappeared. I guess it was finished enough for him. It was far from finished, but it was all laid out, weirdly enough. I work really fast if I need to, and then come back for the finer details. I'll screw, tight. This is why I like your tattoos, because it's actually on the dot on what I needed there, everything. But with him, we weren't there, and he kind of disappeared eventually. But come to think about it, that was not the surprise. The surprise was to us every single time when he came back for 1 or 2 days, even if it was only 45 minutes. Mm. But that's weird that you were there one of those days. Yeah, that's one of those people that I remember so well. And I must admit, we probably had a lot of fun at his expense. To some extent, which again, I'm not a hero, dude. People can have fun at my expense too. I ran around. I ran away after 45 minutes on the wrong days. So it is what it is. But yeah, that was what exception. Like you said, it was more like his pride of not taking a help. Well, we're not talking about like anything addictive. We're talking about like, dude, seriously, like, especially if you don't take anything, take a goddamn like leave or whatever the hell, and that can help you. Well, fucking go for it, dude. You're not proving me anything by squealing here. And trust me, I know it sucks. Yeah. So this is not, But
I will freely admit that it's particularly the first time that I got tattooed by you. I must have gone through an entire box of Nurofen over the course of the 8-9 hours, and I didn't want to look like a pussy, so I kept on reaching into my bag whenever you were going away for a smoke break or something, and I would like pop 2, and I'd sit there, and I think about 7 hours in, you're like, man, you're doing really well for your first tattoo.
Exactly, and this is the funny thing is that not for nothing. In that case, it's kind of like I would run and take my own like painkiller for my back while tattooing you. So there is no misunderstanding on that. If there's anything that can help you, you fucking take it, because it makes a lot more. Like you said, it makes a lot more sense to me if I do something or do well. Like Robert Hernandez worked on my back a couple of years ago, and I sat there for like 6 hours, and trust me, I don't sit for 6 hours for tattoos anymore. But it was what it was, and I was like, I ate right. I took whatever. I took a couple like over-the-counter pills to just relax, and it was like night and day. And I'm like, no, that's great. That's whatever works for you is fine, which is exactly why it was so weird to me that somebody insists or not. If that's your thing, I can understand.
Yeah.
But if now you're sitting like the biggest pussy I've tattooed in a long time, look, dude, you're not being a poster boy of what you're promoting here. So it is what it is. And I don't know. As a tattoo artist, at the end of the day, it was kind of like a bummer. It was a really fun, like octopus and stuff. That's like Cthulhu stuff. Anything with tentacles goes well as a big tattoo. Mm. And I was really looking forward to that. Then I met the guy. It blew up in my face so quick. It was, what an experience. It's so cool that you were there, though. That was awesome.
No, I remember that very well because, as I said, I remember his squeal when the needle first
he made... That's a big no-no in tattoos. There's weird sounds you don't make. I don't care how much pain you are. But seriously, you better get shot in the face to make some sounds as a guy. call me old school, but have some pride. It's like, come on.
100%. The thing is, I actually really enjoyed the process of getting tattooed. I mean, I often, I'll talk to people about what it's like, and people that I know that see it and go, is it sore, whatever. The biggest thing I remember about it is the first time that you started this. I remember looking down at my arm. It was the first tattoo I ever got, and I was like, I looked down at it and I thought to myself, that is never going to look the same ever again. And then you see the first line happen, and it's like, okay, you're beyond the point of any return now. And there's a real thrill to it. I know I'm possibly in the minority on that, but I genuinely love the experience of being tattooed. I think the painkillers help.
Again, it's for each his own, and whatever you get tied into it, whatever works for you, I can understand. There's a big rites of passage about what we do, like it or hate it. And it's like, it's a little more than buying a shirt. You put a little blood, sweat, and tears into it beyond a normal thing. So a part of the rites of passage of it is exactly what you're talking about. And if you get tattooed right again, the right moment, the right everything, you're kind of like, dude, that's cool. It's the Fight Club scenario. It's very much, it makes perfect sense to me. I used to talk the same way, and then I ran out of fun spots, and now I'm an old pussy. But hey, I fully understand, believe me. This is why I'm a big fan of the experience of getting tattooed. Because it's like, it's such a thing in your diary. Like, I had a discussion with a guy that tattooed me like over 20 years ago. And he's like, how the fuck do you remember all that? I'm like, because those are my tattoos, idiot. It's like, what do you mean? How do I remember? I remember everything in that day, from the way I fucking smelled to the music that was on the radio, because that's a special day. So I that's something I keep reminding myself when I tattoo. Again, whatever it is for people, the experience is definitely, a big part of what you take from it. If it comes with a killer art, everybody wins.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, for me, I think there's I'm trying to find the words that will probably make this sound not as weird as it's going to sound, but I think there's a kind of an intimacy around being tattooed as well. I don't think it's the same if you go get, a 25-pound tattoo in Thailand or something. But I think if you go to somebody, the way that I went to you and I said, pretty much do, whatever you want, and I remember you sending me the pencil sketch for the extension to this. And there's not one moment in my entire life that I've looked at my arm and I've ever not absolutely loved it. And it's not just, liking it to a point where, you kind of get used to it being there. Every single time I look at it, I still get the same kind of kick and the same excitement that I got when I first saw it. But it does also, you mentioned Fight Club. It's kind of, I liken it to when you're doing, I did Thai boxing and I did some MMA, and a lot of the guys that I trained with, you could not see them for years on end, and then you see them, 5-6 years down the line, you might bump into them in the road, and it's like there's a recognition there, and you could just immediately start talking. And
it's a very different understanding there.
Yeah.
Which we've always said that with tattooed people. It's kind of like, some people get a tattoo and walk away, and it's whatever their souvenir, and some of them are going to become a part of your family, and the tattooed people and whatever, which is. I walked to tattoo convention in Dunstable in 95, first time in my life. And for the first time in my fucking life, nobody cared. Everybody asked me about my tattoos, what genuinely wanted to know. People were kind of like, and I keep doing tattoo convention. I keep doing metalhead festivals because it's exactly that. It's like a specific amount of people that just, we're going through the same shit in different places of the world to different levels. That's the one time that you're like, finally, somebody understands me. And it's awesome. You know what I mean? It's something, it's a very weird connection. But like you said, it's almost like you can be friends with somebody, or you can be friends with somebody who saved your fucking life. And the experience will obviously take you as long as it takes you. Look, it's, again, 25 years into this in a couple of months. Even the 20-minute tattoo or banger you're talking about in Bangkok or wherever the fuck is still a pretty big fucking experience. that's the cool thing about tattoos. You know, I was sitting in New York. I was like tattooing this dude to come see me in Texas. So he just did his whole front. We're about to start his leg in a few, like next week. He's covered with amazing work from all these artists that he went to see around the US and blah, blah, blah. And killer fucking black and gray collection, all creepy shit. And at the same time, I'm tattooing him, and he usually try to sit 3-4 hours, and dude, he's hurting. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's front, for fuck's sake. The same time, this other dude came in, and this other artist next to me does his first tattoo, which is an outline of, I can't even remember what it was, a heart or whatever. Took about 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes at best. And you realize that when that guy looks in the mirror and what he goes home with and the feeling that he just got from that first 2-minute tattoo is as huge as my guy that spends thousands of dollars and flies for hours and spend nights and blah, blah, blah to get his own collection. But who the fuck am I to judge it? You know what I mean? And it's, look, I get to like different times in your career, you talk one way or another about whatever, and yeah, we all have our preference. But at the end of the day, I kind of learned to see that, and I'm like, you know what? That's kind of fucking awesome. It's kind of like, it's insanity to me because of the hours and blah, blah, blah that we put into getting what we're getting, and specifically from people. And it's just a whole different process altogether. But it's pretty crazy how it's almost, I think Alex Binney said back in the day something to the extent of like the ritual thing of it, of like when you open somebody's skin and you kind of open their soul and blah, 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 whatever. But true enough, again, that's the difference between you talking to a bartender and you talking to a tattoo artist, which is not too far off in an interaction.
Yeah.
Except for the commitment part and a little bit of pain and the little extra stuff that makes this so much more of an experience. Which, and again, brings me to the whole point of like, I remember getting my first tattoo, dude. I was a kid. I was not treated right. But fuck me, dude. Tattoo studios just feel so cool when everything clicks. Artists, the clients, the whole 9 yard. And yeah, no, it's been home family for so many years that it's like, I think it's also when it happened, it's also, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't remember it that well, considering you got your tattoo, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of like, I feel like job done on my end if it's all went well at that, you know, level, so.
So this segues quite nicely into you know, talking about black metal and some of your recent work with Gall and, you know, the various people in the scene. But I know you've tattooed quite a lot of people that, you know, you spent probably the better part of your life looking up to. What's it like sharing that experience with someone that you have, you know, and I think you're very similar to me, that you, like I said, you have such an affinity for. You know, for me, growing up in South Africa, you know, now I've kind of been fortunate enough to meet almost everyone I've ever wanted to meet. And it's such a bizarre thing when you meet them, and it's kind of like seeing you for like a split second, you're like, okay, is this a movie? Is this real? you know what I mean? It's.
I get that in hindsight, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it more in hindsight. I'm not. I've met people like my heroes, my idols, whatever you want to call them. I met people throughout my life, which kid from Israel is not really by far in his wildest dreams is expecting to. But kind of like one thing leads to another or whatever. And I'm not one to really react on the spot. Like I can be a fanboy, don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna like jump you and ask for your autograph or whatever.
Yeah. With
that being said, that doesn't mean that at the end of the night, when I go in my room or wherever and smoke my joint and I look out the window and realize like what the fuck just happened, then I'll do my little happy dance. Then it'll be like, okay, this is just, you know, the one of those things in life that's like, it's been surreal. It's been pretty, the levels that it reached at this point are getting a little out of control to anything I ever thought it would be. And again, for one reason or another, for one person or another, it's just, yeah. it's pretty crazy that, like you said, when you're like, no, that's my friend. It's like, really? You've been getting in trouble for listening to this guy since you're like a teenager. But yeah, no, that's been the whole Norway direction on this just went way beyond my expectations. The people I end up meeting, people I end up friends with. It's a small country. It's not that hard to run into most of them, but again, I happen to know one person or another that throughout the tattoo industry, throughout time that we've been to conventions or whatnot. But it's getting a lot of control at this point. But it's kind of like, okay, at this point, like the biggest people in that scene are kind of like, oh, that guy,
yeah,
and it's pretty surreal. Yeah, it's still.
And speaking of. Really big names in the scene. I saw the art installation you did in Gull's Gallery. I mean, firstly, the pieces are fucking amazing.
Thank you.
And it was like, I looked at that and I saw the photos and I was like, where you get that sense of that's exactly where that guy needs to be. It sort of.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
But again, if you know those guys, you understand that that's just not the way they operate.
Mm.
And look, I can understand some of them do. Some of them back up what you would. It's kind of exactly what you expected them to be. And they're all fucking crazy on their own levels. Like, I can understand where the music's coming from. But especially in that, like, meeting those people and everything, and it's kind of like, that gallery, usually they have a section on the side for black metal. And we work upstairs with our friend, Yannicka, a tattoo artist at Nidhogg. And it's the same. It's like a little house, a wooden house, old brigand. But it's, I see the people come there since I've known that since they kind of opened the gallery. And I've seen the people come there, of course, to meet fucking Gull, because he is who he is.
I was just about to say, because he's Gull.
Exactly. And I gotta tell you, from the second I first talked to that guy, he's like, yeah, he's that deep. He's one of those people. It's like, okay, I don't get it. That's exactly what it's all about. It's like, fuck me. But he's doing this and he's doing his art and everything else because he's doing a million things at the same time. And I just, honestly, from seeing this and being there a few times in festivals, which more people come there for this, that's exactly why I asked the year before. And I'm like, you know what? Can I do a show here? Because a friend of mine, Trina Grimm from Oslo, she had a show there. She knows the guys and everything. And I'm like, okay, if Tattoo Artist has a show here, fuck it, they know what I do. I might as well try. And I specifically asked for that weekend. I'm like, beyond the gates, there'll be enough. There'll be hundreds extra people from all over the world. A lot of them already come here, just say hello. This can be bad to any one of us type of deal. And the art that I did specifically for it is honestly, I look at it in hindsight and I'm like, it's cool that I decided to do this, but I don't ever remember doing like a series of basically portraits. But it was a lot of fun to do. It was stressful for a little while. And I think I made a post about that. And up till about 4 months before it was time for the show, I didn't even kind of ask them to confirm it. And then I start hitting him up and I'm like, are we still good? Are we still doing this? Like, yeah, of course. I'm like, okay, cool. And be honest with you again, it's just my life's been just such a spin and especially the last half a year. Up to the moment I landed in Bergen, I was like, if they say no for whatever reason, fuck it. Like, I have friends at this point, even at the festival, they'll showcase it if worst come to worst. But well, not really worst come to worst, but it's another option, whatever. But yeah, no, I come in and it's like, yeah, no, we're all good. And it's, again, we go out, blah, 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 and some dinner, one thing or another. And like, I'm there for 2 days and then it goes up on the walls. And I'm like, fucking hell, this is really happening. And yeah, no, it was pretty fucking intense. It was like, we had a full house for like 4 or 5 hours on the opening night. And then for like 4 days straight throughout the festival, it was basically full house for about 4 days straight. well, I tattooed half of the time we're at shows, and I would see those guys at night, and my good friend hosted Toke, another friend from Italy, and it was quite a surreal ride there. And meeting, it's like, you meet all these other artists that showcase there, and you just haven't met them yet. And it's kind of like one of the first dudes, it's like Kim, and this guy does all this art, and it's like he just did the art for the new ABBA album. It's like, I was like, oh, yeah, hello, It's like, it's pretty overwhelming around you of who's who, because everybody is in some band. A lot of them are in. I've met a lot of people I had no idea that I've been listening to them for ages. I had no idea who they are. But it's kind of like that. It's everybody there. It's just pretty much one to another. It's a bunch of metalheads having fun. And that's, again, why specifically I asked for that thing a year in advance. It came to turn. I'm like, okay. And I think the last day, I think about a week later, right before I left, and again, host came to say goodbye, and Christian Dahl was there, and I'm like, I had this girl take a picture of us, and I was like, I looked at it in hindsight, and I was like, this really kind of sums this up. And I was like, fucking hell. It's just, it was surreal on so many levels. And again, I usually meet a lot of people in those trips, especially in those festivals. This one was just a whole new level, like from people I met to you name it, to like putting face on about 100 different people on Instagram now. But yeah, no, it's pretty intense. It's pretty crazy how we even got to know Gal or Host or a lot of those guys, where it's, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, those guys, there is, it might be because they were, some of the first, or, they were at least in the kind of second wave of Norwegian black metal, but they're iconic. There's a fuck ton of black metal bands. Yeah. There's a lot of really, really good black metal bands. And in my personal opinion, I think the Norwegian masters will never be beaten. But if you think about new bands coming out, I'd say some of the best stuff is coming out of Poland. Some of the best stuff, is coming out of France.
There's a lot of really, France is, that's another place. There's a lot of the scenes that me and you don't hear about, and it's super annoying because they have some really good shit.
Yeah.
France, Denmark, it's kind of like the scenes are big within their own country. Everybody knows everybody. And somehow we never get to hear about it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why? It's like really good shit.
Yeah.
And I have a few friends like this too. It's pretty crazy, yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, it depends on, first of all, your age and whatever songs or album or whatever means to you personally, when you heard it, and blah, 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 and the whole story that you have behind it. And that's what I think makes the big difference with, like you said, some of the people like Gal. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I got to see Gorgoroth with a couple of different people sing for them, and dude, it was Gorgoroth. It was like, everything you would expect from that show. With that being said, I've seen Gal do Gorgoroth, and it was more Gorgoroth.
Well, I don't. My personal view is I don't think Gorgoroth is Gorgoroth without Gal. His voice,
But that's what I mean exactly. People, I think all of it is the same thing. About that, people are like, oh, his guitar skills. Not. It's like, who gives a fuck about his guitar skill, dude? His voice, for fuck's sake. His voice is the instrument you should be paying attention to. And that's how big it is. And it's, like you said, it's notable for some of those people, the Jim Morrisons, the one-man band scenario. And it's not a one-man band. It's new, Gal's weird. It's a combination of amazing artists.
Yeah.
But everybody plays into it with their strong side. But it's, like you said, there's some of the albums that we listen to, and I'm like, dude, if that guy does it with whoever the fuck wants to play with him, I'm buying it. It's kind of like, it's that simple. And yeah, I stopped arguing a long time ago the way I feel about one thing or another, as juvenile as it may be. And I'm like, it's all got a fucking some weird reason behind it. But that's exactly why it's surreal to me again. It's like, those people are big among a pretty small scene. At the end of the day, as big as it may be. And it's great because, don't get me wrong, Norway is one of the only countries to actually admit and, again, own up to the fact that music comes from there, whether they like it or not. and it is music, and it is to be recognized with, and to take pride that it came from your country, and they do. And it's, you know, it's for people that like that kind of music, for people who listen to it from the beginning, the rumors, the whole 9 yards that fed into it throughout your life.
Mm.
I think to whoever stuck with it, then yeah, those guys are definitely still bigger than whatever. And it's just because, yeah, no, that's the people, you know.
What was the album that got you hooked? That was kind of your, you know, that got dragged you into black metal? Because I recall from our earlier conversations, I think you probably went down a similar path to me, and probably most, you know, a lot of people do. You know, you kind of get into Metallica and then Slayer and then Sepultura, and then all of a sudden there's like
metal. You mean metal in general?
No, black metal. So there's that there's that one album that you get that you kind of like sort of nervous to listen to it at first because the people that make it are, you know, you're led to believe are insane. But then as soon as you hear it's just like this spiritual connection forms straight away. And I don't think there's another genre, certainly in metal, where I can describe anything like it. Anything like for me personally, the first time that I heard In the Nightside Eclipse, I've never had an experience like it.
Yeah, it's deep. It's funny because that's always been at least my case of it. But like, okay, it does its job as an art. It definitely makes you feel something. Whether you want to kill yourself or you want to kill somebody else or whatever the fuck, you cannot deny it. You cannot walk by it and be like, yeah, whatever. It's like, no, it's gonna linger with you. And I think, like a lot of heavy music, like death metal, whatever, you hear it or you don't. That's just the way it is. I don't know why. But if you hear it, you'll hear the melody behind it or not. I think with black metal especially, it goes deep. Like really fucking deep. Like 20 times repeating a riff deep. And it depends on how, again, like you said, whatever attracts you. I used to be into death metal for many, many years. So everything else was kind of almost shit to that point, except for Slayer and Maiden, you know, a couple of exceptionals. But what was the first album? Fuck. Dark Throne. That's probably why that's still top of my list. Dark Throne, fuck, was it? I think it was Plague Wilder.
Oh, fuck. Plague Wilder.
There was another one. It was Plague Wilder and could be Under a Funeral Moon. I don't remember. There was another one. Both of them were kind of, if you ask me, the epitome. Hate Them is the epitome of Norwegian black metal sound.
Agree.
In my opinion.
100% agree.
Well, you know, especially that album. It's like, well received it. I was pissed that it was only 38 minutes or whatever. It was just, you know what I mean? They hit every fucking note as your mind would expect that music to sound or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Dark Throne is one of the first ones. About a couple of days into it, I also got Bursum, you know, the Philosophum, and that really nailed it. Then nailed the rest of the nails in the coffin right there. That was just like a done deal right there.
That was the black metal jackhammer.
It was just, you know, between those two, yeah, it was kind of like gimme, gimme, gimme. Like we always knew about Mayhem. They were in good connection with the guys in Israel. Like we had our own little Helveta scenario there until the little shop got everything from them, from different little shops around the world. So we always knew about a few of them. But again, as a death metal guy, you're kind of like, whatever, dude. I'm overwhelmed with Tampa hatred in the moment to give a fuck about anything. It was really, it was just mean. It was just like, so beyond deep. Like you said, it wasn't scaring you, but it was just like a good horror movie. It was just like, what the fuck just happened? You know, it was really, it was a very undeniable feeling. And I've seen people go through it. You know, funny enough, one of the funniest guy here go through it was this old school Italian, like all connected type of Italian guy from New York that Paul Booth did a sleeve on him with some cover-ups. I can't remember what or how he got to Paul. But he obviously was not into metal. Like, I could guarantee you that. Let me tell you, after a few sittings and listening to Bursum, not only he heard about the story, blah, 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 and what happened with him, he went and bought the albums. He was hooked. like between that and getting tattooed and whatever, and it was just, I was like, I cannot believe that this old mafioso dude just bought the personal albums, but this is how intense we're talking about. So yeah, I literally see it fish people out of the weirdest crowd, and they're like, gotta admit, man, this is some powerful shit. They're like, yeah, no,
it's also to some degree, and I know the word is picked up probably fairly negative connotations in the last couple of years, but there is an elitist element to black metal. There is a very, very small minority of people that truly form that connection with the music. Yeah, as you say, it tends to be the most sort of bizarre and unexpected places that you find people that are into black metal and that are really, really into black metal.
You know, the funny thing is, it's kind of like Metalocalypse when they go to Norway and realize how most Norwegians are. Yeah. And any Norwegian will tell you that. They're well aware of what's going on there. It's quite a haven. Those guys have quite a good life. Even the people doing time are getting paid for every day they're in prison. It's a different way to live. I'm a firm believer, in my opinion, that you hear a lot of really good bands coming out of angrier countries. And the people's existence is what pushes it. From South America, from Middle East, for some, like, what the fuck, man? It's like, you know what those guys go through everyday life? And like, of course, they're letting out. Norwegians are not supposed to be those people. But I think you're 100% right, because Norwegians really connect to where they're from. And again, they own up to the whole Viking thing. And they're not being tough guys about it, but they're sure proud of not being a bunch of pussies. You know what I mean? And I think a part of that pride is really how pure it comes out, to almost like, here's their chance to let out, or to really let go there, and be as rebellious as they get. And yeah, no, it definitely shows. And but that's what I mean. It's kind of like, okay, even if a lot of people's eyes were turned to it for all the wrong reasons, with Varg and the whole fucking 9 yard and all the shenanigans, which is still cool and juvenile, in my opinion. Hate me for it all you want.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think the music itself, it stands on its own. You can really notice it. There is no two ways about it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of those originators, and none of them they're like, like, none of us were thinking about doing anything kind of new, or, there wasn't, nobody was pushing. They literally just did what they felt was right for one reason or another. And it's funny, but it is. It's like the influences they got from whatever it is, from, Rocky, whatever his name, Erickson, to Sex Pistols, to whatever it is. It was a rebellious move, but I think it definitely became a sound. Like, you can hear it. If you hear enough of it, you can definitely usually tell it apart from other genres.
Yeah.
And again, it's a matter of flavor. But yeah, no, I'm definitely hooked at this point. That I've been sticking to. I mean, I listen to a lot of different stuff, but I would say 90 to 95% of the time it's still black metal. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I grew up in a house where my mom was a music teacher, so I still listen to a lot of the older stuff that I got into. I still listen to a lot of newer metal bands, but there is no music genre that has the same effect and the same impact on me that black metal does. I mean, I was looking the other day at kind of what my favorite albums of the year has been so far, and I think there's about two non-black metal albums on there. Everything else is, as fucking as grim as it gets. And I'll tell you what is going to, I mean, I don't even need to hear the whole album. I've heard the first single. I know it will be on my top 20 of the year. The new Mayhem. Have you heard the new single?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. It's fucking insane.
I've actually, I just saw the guys in Bergen like last week. Yeah.
Well, that would have been unbelievable. I saw them at Incineration Fest in May for the first time, and it was one of those bands that I kept on missing every time they came to London. And my girlfriend, who is not into metal whatsoever, was with me at the time. I think she was a bit shocked because I honestly, I've been to about 600-700 gigs in the last 15 years. I've seen very few things as intense as Mayhem on stage.
It's, again, that's exactly the whole. Black metal is so much, at least it became, in my opinion, like so much more than their music at this point. It's like, especially if I go see a show, I would appreciate as much of a show possible, which even Mayhem don't do much. And that's the brilliance of Mayhem is, when I first met the guys, I don't know, probably 12 years ago or something like that. One of the first things I told them was like, I gotta be honest with you, I'm not a big fan. Like, I just gotta get this off my chest. Yeah. So we're clear on that. You guys are fucking awesome. And I really appreciate them for what they are, but their style is not really, except for, of course, the Legends, the Mysterious. There's a few that, of course, I love like everybody else. But majority of it, throughout the years, I'm like, some are yes, some are no. And I got to tell you, from knowing those guys for many, many years and everything, they're kind of, I've seen them so many times by now in so many places. And it becomes intense to the fact that it's like, they're so good at this point. You know what I mean? This is such a well-oiled machine on a different level, especially when it comes to black metal, that they don't even need to bother to put their shit on or a hoodie or whatever the fuck, because they're killing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of like songs that I usually don't listen to. Every time I see them live, I'm like, I forgot about that one. I gotta maybe check that album again. I might be missing something here because my flavor kind of changes with the years, yeah. But it's been like that for quite a few years now. Every time I see those guys, I'm like, I gotta tell you what, this is like really, really impressive to see how intense it is, to see what it means to the crowd. It's Mayhem became a Colgate, you know what I mean? They became on a whole new level of what people may use as Mayhem as an example.
Yeah.
And that's insanity to me. Those guys have been such good friends for so many years now. And I'm like, dude, I think I became more of a fanboy with the time instead of the other way around at this point, because it's like, they're that good. They're really, like you said, you go and see them and you're like, fuck me, dude, that's some good shit. And it puts a whole different bar to every other show you see.
Yeah, completely agree. And again, my girlfriend, who's not into metal whatsoever, and definitely not black metal, I mean, even she was like, yep, I get it. I understand why the band is as good as they are. And that's how somebody
click.
Is incredible, is if somebody who doesn't know their music, who doesn't listen to that style of music can, go and see them and they instantly get it.
That's always been like, in my opinion, one of the biggest compliments you can get. It's if somebody is like remote from what you do, whether it's your art, that we do, whatever it may be. If somebody remoted from it can appreciate it for what it is, can they see it at a face value and beyond, whether I could care less whether they like it or not. You know what I mean? I do the same shit. There's a lot of people, a lot of arts, a lot of stuff that I'm like, all the power to you, my friend. I do not get it at all, but I'll be the first one to admit that you're good. You are good. And that's exactly that. Like, I think Mayhem became that more and more throughout the years, for sticking with it, for having such fucking amazing people. Everybody in the band just brings so much on so many levels there. And if only, again, same thing like Slayer and other bands like this, there's a very few apart that can still do this for so many years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They still those people have a pretty comfortable bed by now. For them to be on a tour bus or whatnot for 2 months or whatever the fuck, it's not ideal. It's not like the best case scenario.
No.
And they still do it and still rock out and they still do their shit and the whole 9 yards and the PR and whatever the fuck they need to do. and then they go back to the regular jobs at home. But it's like, it's just amazing to me to what level some of those bands do it. And it's like,
the thing about a band like Mayhem for me that's so great is they're part of this very, very elite minority of bands that have been doing it for years and years, and they are still bringing out relevant music and music that in my view can hold a candle to stuff they've done previously. I mean, if you think about Slayer, personally in my view, you can take everything from Divine Intervention up to the last album and you'll maybe get a decent nine track album out of that. I mean, there is so much fucking rubbish on kind of everything after Seasons in the Abyss. But
not sure in the numbers, but yeah, you're just about.
But I mean, like Esoteric Warfare, the previous Mayhem album, masterpiece, absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, and here's what I think, in my opinion, again, just from knowing those guys and knowing how they operate. It's just such a different hierarchy. Like in Norway, it seems like, from what I understand, again, I'm not in a band, I don't get too much into those guys' shit. As an overall feel that I get from just about any band on the field, they either have a band that it's a mayhem and nobody gets, like, nobody can get into each other's shit and blah, 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 and it's just like one complete mess. Or they have bands like Mayhem that they all know what's what. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, all right, dude, whatever age you are, wherever you are in life or whatever, like Mayhem, in my opinion, what some people see is like, oh, you guys don't stick to the original crew type of scenario. In my opinion, Mayhem has been fucking smart. And I've only realized that a few years ago of like, they had Rune, they had Blasphemer, pretty much write a big part, from what I understood, of a lot of the amazing fucking albums that became classics, right? Esoteric Welfare and the new one coming, if I'm correct, a lot of it is written by Tedlock, by Morten. And Morten is doing so many projects. He's one of those people. He's like 5-6 bands on hand at any given time. Plus he had some project and some other music thing for the city or something that basically in Norway said, fuck, you're a good musician type of deal, which really blew my mind but he's that good. And he's been writing a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Axel is that good. Like, those people stay pretty updated, but they bring to the table what they know is good. They're not going to sit there. I've got a lot of positions in life, but the easiest way to describe this is, at the end, there was just way too much bullshit and not enough substance, not enough art, not enough what we fucking got here for together. You know what I mean? And I think those bands are aware of it, and that's what's so killer about it.
Yeah.
They still have their original members. They still, at any given time, have somebody that's pretty much a member for a few years. They don't just come and go. And they bring a lot to the table. And the band is more than happy to listen and tweak whatever they need to make this mayhem. I don't know exactly how they work or what goes to who and when, but I think it's the same way I just saw Dolls Veer, that all of them were like, dude, we were all worked on this together. The whole new level, that this is what they sound like. They sound like a band. They're not a one-man trick.
Yeah. Unbelievable album as well, by the way.
I've been on it for fucking weeks now.
Yeah, nice.
And it's like you said, I'm kind of like, I'm laughing to myself like a douche, being like, I know this guy. I know all those guys, as a matter of fact, for quite a few years now. Fuck me, that's an amazing album. Yeah, it's just, I remember the whole album since the inception. I've seen their first show ever. I think their first 3 shows ever, if I remember correct. It just became one of those bands. Yeah, it became really like, fuck me, man. It's just such a good things happening there. And again, Norway, they still, a lot of those that you might never hear about if those assholes don't get off their asses. Because they all have an amazing fucking side project here, side project there, which are all like super groups.
Yeah, well, and the Dinger is a good example of that.
It's painful.
Yeah.
It's like you realize at some point that Gorgoroth in 1349 must have had any member in black metal you can think of at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it's like, fucking hell, man. It's like, well, no wonder those bands are so fucking good. It's like, this just explains it even more. I'm like, all right, there's a lot those people bring to the table. And I think if you hit the right things, you can be a one-man thing like Varg. You can be a two-man thing like Darkthrone, or you can be a full band. But it's like you said, some specific people have something. I fuck if I could pinpoint what it is, but it definitely it hits the spot with fans by all means. It's pretty.
Did you see Lords of Chaos?
No. It's a good thing you remind me. You're kind of like the third guy this week to remind me about this movie.
That's
I know the whole shenanigan behind the book.
Yeah.
I read the book. The book was one of the first time I got any kind of answers in my life, just to learn a few years later when I got to Norway of how much BS that was.
Mm.
I tattooed the girl, her boy, unfortunately passed away from cancer, I think 2-3 years ago. The couple did Till the Light Takes Us.
Oh, seriously? Did that guy pass away?
Yeah, it was a really sad thing. She's an amazing person. She's super good friend with my wife for many years now. And she's got a little tattoo, his memory and everything. But I met a lot of people on different ends to kind of hear whatever. Just to realize again, the one thing everybody can definitely agree on is the Lords of Chaos is bullshit.
Yeah.
And with that being said, of course I'm going to see the movie eventually. I just, at this point, I'm like, fuck me, it's the third time this week. Maybe when we get off here, I might go and see where I can download it. I'm in Germany, so there might be people with guns if I do something illegal here.
Yeah.
They're very strict on their shit, so I might have to wait till New York next week. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to. Is it on Netflix?
No, I procured it in a similar fashion to what you just suggested.
I'll find it.
And I watch it out of curiosity more than anything else. I mean, I'd read.
I think I heard something to the extent that he actually tried to change some stuff to make it better because he knows he fucked up or something like that on the movie. I don't know. Either way, it's
No, not my thing. I've got two last things to say, and this is as much recommendations if you've not seen or heard it yet, but I just want to know your thoughts on it generally. You were talking about horror movies earlier. Did you watch Hereditary?
No, I think same thing. I just heard about it.
Dude.
I've been out of the loop on so many levels. Hereditary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding. I'll send you.
You're going to have to text it to me so I can have it in front of my face or something because I'm going to forget.
We'll do. Next thing, Ruins of Beverest, Exuvia. Did you hear that album?
Why does that sound familiar? No, I didn't, but I have a friend that keeps loving all these bands that I would never hear about in my life if it wasn't for him. And I'm almost 100% sure that I just read that name earlier today.
Well, you got another friend. You got another friend.
I'm not going to remember. That's what I mean. This is where I get all my music from, and it's all recommendations. And again, as scattered as they are, I'm going to need this in front of my face so at the right time I will do this because I'm just lazy about that kind of shit. And I really don't. I haven't had my own corner for so long now that I don't have a whole thing, set up like Spotify or whatever, something like directed. And that's exactly why I'm missing out on a lot of shit that I'm aware of. And yeah, that's the same. I'm going to need this in front of me. Be like, okay, go download this shit. So
yeah. I'll bring it over. Dude, it was so awesome catching up with you. Hopefully we're not going to wait another 8 years until we do so again. And I do
same here,
at some point get this extended. So hopefully I'll see you for that. But if not, when you're in the UK, hopefully we'll catch up at some point. Sounds
good, man. No,
thanks and like I said, great to see you and all the best over the next couple of years.
Same here. Thank you, brother. No, it's like I said, it's been good to catch up. It's been entirely too long. So yeah,
Very much so. In part, that's actually why I started this podcast. It was like, there was a lot of people when I was writing about music that I made friends with, and you never get to catch up with them. So I was like, well, I'm not going to, I mentioned this on an interview I did last night as well. I don't want this to become work. I want to speak to people that I think I can have interesting conversations with, and therefore hopefully people find it interesting as well. I don't want to, just have sort of typical bullshit metal Q&A nonsense. But most.
No, I hear you. I think whoever's interested will be interested. Yeah, it's kind of there's a few of them. Same thing. I got drawn into watching like all sorts of like skateboard stuff and stuff that I hadn't really listened to or saw in many, many years. I'm like, I'll listen to it for hours if it's the right thing and it's the right tone and going the right way again, or whatever information people may want to get that works. Regardless, it's good fucking catching up. So
awesome, dude. Take care of yourself. Speak to you soon.
I'm really you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Extremities and I softly stand in the mirror, bicycle spheres. Darkest water in bottomless.
Thanks again to Lior for coming onto the show for that chat. I had a great time, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. If you want to check out Lior's work, you can follow him on Instagram at Lior Cifer or at INFERNUM Tattoos. And just a word of advice, if you are lucky enough to get an appointment with him and he's in your town, pack the painkillers, because he is not known as the Hebrew Hammer for nothing. You will, however, come away with an amazing piece of work, and you'll have a great time getting tattooed. But he doesn't go easy on the weak. Anyway, on to the next segment of the show, what I am cranking this week. And number one on today's list of essential listening is an album called All Pain as Penance. And it's by a one-man project out of the UK called Abduction. This is the third release by this band. And when I say this is a one-man project, I should say that the mind behind the outfit, AV, also used a session drummer. So if anybody is worried about the purity of the necroness on this album being ruined by machine drums, don't worry. The drums are very real and also very fast. Certainly at the start of the album, this is really, from kind of the get-go, it is grim necro cult black metal. Immediately it feels very traditional, but then the album very quickly starts to evolve and starts throwing all sorts of different influences and atmospheres at you. And really what I love about the album most is how kind of unique and distinct each song is. Every song is very identifiable. The record never feels like it's going past in a blur. And really, again, as I've mentioned before, I think Abduction is probably, in my view, the best black metal being produced in the UK at the moment. So well worth checking out. I love this album. I like the production. I like the atmosphere. I like the sound. What I would really like is for AV to come on the show wearing his bone cloak and his mask and come and be interviewed. And that may well be happening in the not too distant future. So keep checking in. The next album I want to talk about is one that I have spoken about a fair bit already. It's also one that anybody listening to the show shouldn't be entirely unfamiliar with, because I love it so much that I used the intro riff off the first song as the opening and closing of the show. And I'm talking, of course, about Stellar Master Elite and the album Hologram Temple. Two gentlemen out of Germany making music that occupies the space between Ruins of Beverast and Red Harvest, in my opinion. So it has the really kind of doomy, dark, I would say melancholic, but also very bleak atmosphere that Ruins of Beverast has. And then they combine it with a really kind of crushing industrial heaviness of Red Harvest. And they do it exceptionally well. I would imagine that the extent to which I have gone on about this band, some of you guys may be thinking that I actually play in the band, or that I'm the band's manager. That is absolutely not the case. I just happened to discover them on Black Metal Promotion one morning, purely by accident. And shout out to Black Metal Promotion, because it is a fucking exceptional YouTube channel. And, if you want to discover new music, that's the place to go. But anyway, as I said, I discovered them by chance, and it's really been an album that I've not stopped listening to since. So definitely check it out. I'm actually going to play a track off the album now, just in case anybody doesn't place any stock, in my opinion, or doesn't believe that I'm 100% correct about this band. And again, I would suggest you check them out on Bandcamp. Likewise, Abduction. I'm going to put the links to both in the description of this video. So this is a track called Ad Infinitum. It's off Hologram Temple. And if you go onto Bandcamp and you order the CD, you can actually get a really, really cool kind of matte black or gloss black on matte black CD digipack. It looks really fucking cool. They actually sent it to they sent one to me earlier this week. But anyway, enjoy the track, and I'll be back right after this.
Did have one DMT trip way back, like maybe the second or third or fourth way back, where it was completely different. It's the only one I've ever had like that, and it was completely different. And the way I put it to myself was, the big people were home. And it was an entirely different feeling. And many people, actually, I've never quite had this myself, but many people report DMT trips where they break in on an entity who is not pleased at all and demands to know how the hell you got there.
So that was Ad Infinitum by Stellar Master Elite, and I am fairly confident that this should lay to rest any doubt that this is one of the best albums of the year. So I hope you guys enjoyed that song as much as I did. I also hope that you will enjoy my third pick, Call of the Void, Buried in Light, now on Relapse Records. These guys went and brought out the best album of their career and then suddenly decided to quit. So I'm not entirely sure why. I'm personally furious at them because I never got to see them live, and they were really one of those bands where, you know, the mixture of the sort of crazy power grind, hardcore blasts, and then this really like chugging, you know, almost dying fetus like groove that they have would have I think suited the live show really, really well. But yeah, you know, these things happen. Hopefully hopefully they haven't quit for good. In some ways, they actually remind me of Burnt by the Sun, because Burnt by the Sun brought out their best album and then went the same way. But regardless, I absolutely love this album. You know, you will kind of find all of the elements of their past records on here. So the sludge, the hardcore, the groove, you know, the just crazy levels of aggression. But I feel like this album is a bit more mature as well. It's a little bit darker. It's a little bit more melodic. I love the production. It's kind of really thick and just sort of sweaty and meaty. So yeah, sad news. The Call of the Void have decided to call it quits. But you know, they have left us with a really, really fantastic swan song, if indeed it is their swan song. So those are my picks for this week, and that's pretty much it from me this week. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Lee Wallenschlager of Malevolent Creation. Lee is somebody that I met when I was 12 years old, and he's actually one of my oldest and dearest friends. We're going to talk about growing up in South Africa in the 80s and 90s, or as I probably should title the episode, Growing Up Metal Where There Was No Metal. And really, I wanted him on the show because I don't actually think that anybody realizes the magnitude of a guy like him ending up in a band like Malevolent Creation. So I want to talk about that, you know, and just kind of generally get his thoughts and feelings on where the band is headed. Obviously, they brought out a great new album this year called The 13th Beast. They haven't really done much by way of touring, so we'll get an update from him on that. And you know, just shoot the shit like we normally do on this show. So I hope you guys continue to tune in. As ever, like I said, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Castbox, Google Podcasts, and hope you all have an awesome week. Thanks for the support. Keep it real on the streets, and I will see you all again soon.